We'll go ahead and finish up our morning availability here at Michigan. We are now joined by Erik Jones, driver of the number 4 Toyota. Erik, you're making your track debut this weekend at your home track of Michigan. Talk about the anticipation of making your debut here and what type of role this track has played for you over the years growing up in Byron.
Yeah, I stayed at my own house last night, and I'll stay there tonight. It's only about an hour and a half down the road for me, so pretty cool to be making my first start here. It's been a place I've wanted to run at for a long time, and not only myself who's watched a lot of races here, but my whole family, from my grandparents to my parents, and it's just a pretty special place for me. So it's exciting anytime you get to go to a new track, but especially when it's your home track and you grow up so close to it. So excited about it. Excited about all the friends and family that are going to be here, and hopefully we can put on a good show for them.
We'll go ahead and open it up to questions. Please state your name and affiliation. We'll start in the back with Wolfgang.
Wolfgang Monser from German Rennsport Press Agency. How do you approach a new track you never run before? Did you do some simulation and computers with all these new games on the market? Or what do you do when you're coming to a new track to learn the track quickly?
No, I don't do a lot of the simulation stuff. I don't think it's close enough. But I watch a lot of videos just of past races as much as I can, and check out kind of what people did last year. Why was the guy that won? Why did he win? What got him up front? Basically that kind of thing. So I'll watch like the last year, and if I have time, the year before as well, and just see what the guys that were fast, what they were doing different than everybody, and just see if I can get a general idea of the line, and if the line moved around throughout the day. Obviously here we're pretty much wide open around the whole track, so it's a pretty big drafting situation for us. So it was interesting to see that and how it played out, and I think you can pick a few things up from watching some of the guys on how to manipulate the draft a little bit better.
Additional questions for Erik? Go over to the right.
Hello, my name's Eric Lloyd with WZZM in Grand Rapids. I guess what kind of role did the track play growing up? How often did you come here? I mean, was this a place you came every summer?
Not every summer, but I think I was here a couple times growing up, and honestly, we couldn't make it every summer because I was racing a lot of the time, quarter midgets at the time, but always a place that we had come to a few times and hung out and watched races, and it's just that home track feel or hometown feel, I think, for any driver or an athlete in any sport, really, when they get to go home and play in front of their hometown fans. That's really the same feel here. So every driver, I think, looks forward to getting to their home track, especially at this level where in the NASCAR series, obviously I've raced a lot of short tracks around my home and been able to win at those tracks, but it's just a little bit different feel when you're at a place like this and you're at home and racing in front of people. So kind of a place for me that growing up I always watched and always looked at as, hey, I hope I get the chance to run there one day, and always was one that was pretty high on my list of just getting to run at.
We'll go over here to the left.
Yes, Eric, Mike Brudenell from the Detroit Free Press. Good morning. How are you?
Good, you? It's good to see you.
Who were your heroes growing up as far as race drivers, and what are your thoughts about Jeff Gordon? He's starting here for the last time, and he's been one of the great champions of the sport.
Yeah, I'd say for me, really Jeff was the guy that I looked up to growing up, and kind of tried to model myself after a little bit. My career path, I guess, I looked at him as he started racing quarter midgets at 7, and that made me want to start racing quarter midgets at 7. Just from seeing that. So I'd say for me it was always Jeff, and watching him race and seeing him retire. It's kind of odd. Obviously I didn't see Jeff from the very beginning of his career, but I saw most of it, and it's just a little bit strange for our sport. It's going to be weird without him out there next year, but at some point everybody has to retire, and I have a lot of respect for him being able to retire at this point in his career where he's still competitive and can still win races. So it's not easy for any athlete to try to go out when they're still really on the top of their game, and the fact that he's been able to make that choice and do it is pretty cool. It's cool when an athlete can go out and they're still performing at a high level.
We'll go back over to the right.
Hi, I'm Adriana with WZZM Channel. Is this on? Oh, okay. Is it nice to know that a lot of your friends and family will be here out at the track supporting you? And does it add any extra pressure for you to perform extremely well?
I don't think there's any extra pressure. I think it's more of I'd really like to win this one just because everybody's here. But I think it's just pretty cool, really, that everybody's here. I've had to give out more hot passes and get tickets for more people this week than I think way more than any other track. So, excuse me. It's just nice to have all these people here and supporting you. And they watch so many races on TV. It's nice when they can actually get out to a race and see it in person. And it's just a different feel for them. Obviously, they went to a lot of short track races growing up, but it's harder to get to some of these NASCAR races in the locations they are, and they don't get to go to do many. So when they do get the chance to go when we're this close to home, it's pretty cool, and it's always cool to see them down in the pits.
We'll go back to Mike, Claire, and then Lee.
Erik, what did Kyle say to you when you did beat him in that race down in Florida a number of years ago? It was a great battle toward the end, but what was his first reaction?
Well, I can remember it pretty well. Obviously, it's a pretty vivid memory for me, but really just kind of congratulated me and talked about the race, honestly. And at that point, I wasn't really thinking about implications of what was going to happen after, if I would get an opportunity at that point in the truck series, but more so that I was just excited that I'd won that race in its own right, but let alone had to run with Kyle for it and a few other things. So just was pretty cool to see him in victory lane and hear from him, talk to him about a race. And as hard as we raced and as clean as we raced, really it's always cool when you get to talk to a driver about that. And I think any driver really loves to see a good, hard, clean race. And that day, that's what we had.
Claire relaying Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. What do you think of when you see you probably know about it in advance, but when you see Kyle on the list to race against in the Truck Series, what are your thoughts?
I think we all, as a team collectively, we like it. It's kind of it's a good benchmark for us to see where we really are and see where our whole program is. So anytime Kyle's in a race, I think we get excited, just a chance to race with Kyle. And I think not only myself, but really the rest of the field is excited to race against Kyle as well. So, we had a fun time at Pocono there for a lot of the race, going back and forth, and hopefully here we'll be able to do the same thing if we have a fast enough truck to keep up with him. So I think that's the only thing you hope you can keep up with him, because if you don't, he's going to say, hey man, this stuff's faster and you're not giving it your all. So it's just fun to race him, and it's really good for us as a whole team when he can get in and, like I said, really show us where our stuff is.
Lee Spencer, Motorsport.com. Do you have any plans to run additional Cup races this season?
No, not this year. It's JGR is working on a lot of things. A lot of things I honestly don't know. I'm kind of waiting to see how the rest of the year progresses. I do know that I'll be racing Xfinity next year, but I don't know sponsor number, any kind of information like that. So no plans this year, but I hope I get another shot soon. It was pretty fun.
And as far as running for the Truck Championship, you and Tyler Reddick are kind of like the young guns going after Matt Crafton, who's just, so poised in what he does and has been so strong, winning, multiple championships. What's the best way to attack a guy that has that kind of experience and just talent?
Well, it's not easy. Obviously, I thought at the beginning of the year we would have been just on sheer speed good enough to beat him on the track, and unfortunately as the years went on, a lot of mishaps and a lot of things not going our way, we've had the speed but just not really the finishes, and he's so consistent every week that those poor finishes or mistakes are amplified, especially in a point situation. So I think the biggest thing for us now is kind of maximizing our bad days more so than our good days. We've got really good stuff, and we're able to go out and run up front, but when that day that we aren't any good, we need to make sure that we don't make any mistakes. And I thought at a place like Eldora, we did a really good job of being there, being consistent, and at the end of the race, found our way up to the front and actually finished ahead of the 88. So any weekend we can finish in front of him, that's obviously a good points weekend for us. And I think that's the biggest thing is, we can't. Some weekends it's not going to be there to win as much as we all love to win, and it's just not going to play out. Some weekends we got to make the most of those days where it's not going to work out.
Any final questions for Erik?
Erik, Tom Eschen, NBC 25 up near Flint. Have you been able to do anything you don't normally get to do around here? That you're not on the road for this week.
Yeah, I was home. I went home last Tuesday. So I had last weekend off. I wasn't in Watkins Glen and spent the whole time at home and kind of went and hung out with some friends and did some go-karting, did some golfing, and it was nice. It was nice to be home, nice to have a week off, and nice to just kind of sit back, relax, get a little bit of sleep, and get ready for this weekend.
All right, Erik, thanks for joining us, and good luck.
All right, thanks.